Why do we not critically think that qira'at are just mistakes? Allah. So qira'at have different meanings sometimes.
We have a hadith narrated by the Prophet, peace be upon him, where he says that there are 7 modes revealed by Allah. That's it.
Farid, why are you deceiving your poor and gullible Muslim audience? Why do you translate the word ahruf to modes? Ahruf in the Arabic language means simply letters. Harf is the singular form, a letter.
So I think that's a better translation.
So why is Farid calling the ahruf modes while the scholars disagreed on the meaning of the ahruf?
Well, as you can see, the huruf is translated as way here, but let's check the Arabic. Why it is like that. In Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, surely the messenger of Allah, may peace be upon him. As you can see, Surah Al-Furqan ala hurufi lam tukriniha. Surah Al-Furqan in ways, not letters, that he didn't teach me. You might say the prophet is not literate, but Umar is literate. As you can see, Umar is well educated.
Here is the book of Imam al-Suyuti called Al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran. On page 105 we can read that the scholars differed on the meaning of the 7 ahruf, and they gave 40 different sayings or explanations for what these 7 ahruf could have meant.
Okay.
Because the Prophet of Islam, notice, the Prophet of Islam did not explain what the 7 ahruf were. Farid, like ya Farid, did you just cherry pick one of the 40 different aqwal or sayings? So these scholars gave you 40 different sayings, man. So why are you choosing one of the 40? And why do you Muslims falsely translate the word ahruf or the singular form harf to styles or modes, while the scholars differed and gave 40 personal explanations for what the 7 ahruf could have meant? That's what we call cherry picking one of the 40 flavors. So Farid, like ya kadhab, aib ya kadhab, stop deceiving these poor victims who are watching your videos. They don't know much about Islam, or let alone about the 7 ahruf.
Well, Rob forgot to tell you that in the next opinion, it said the word 7 doesn't really mean it's 7. That's, let's say that the word like 7, the 70 of the tens and the others.
Like, subhanAllah, this is something that we need to focus on in our da'wah. In our da'wah, we're supposed to tell people, like, don't think this is a shubha. Don't think this is an argument that is like used against Islam. Muslims are supposed to say, yo, check it out, 7 ahruf. Is there anything like this? Look at these meanings, how they're complementary and how they add to the meaning of the text. Sam'een says, one difference is king versus owner. Yes, you're correct. Those are different meanings. And let me tell you why. I'll tell you what's so interesting about king versus owner. Because you'd say, like, what's the point? Like, what's, what are we gaining from this idea of king versus owner? And subhanAllah, every time you find a difference in meaning, you'll find some amazing reason behind it when talking about king versus owner. An owner is, of course, someone that owns something, but they're not necessarily in a very high position, right? But a king is always in a high position. But sometimes the king doesn't have like full control, even though an owner has full control of what they're controlling. But if it's king and owner, then it's someone of a high position that has full control. I enjoyed that one. Look at these meanings, how they're complementary and how they add to the meaning of the text.
You almost solved the problem, yeah, Farid. But my dear friend Farid here, again just forgot to mention and explain to his gullible, ignorant Muslim audience that early Muslims did not accept the different qira'at or readings as something complementary, but actually quite the opposite. Early Muslims, like Imam At-Tabari, used to reject certain qira'at and chose the readings that made more sense for them. They applied their logic and chose the qira'at that made more sense to them. So what do you mean by complementary, Ya Farid? You know this very well, Ya Farid, but why are you not mentioning this to your gullible Muslim audience who will accept anything you say? Abu Ja'far, aka Imam At-Tabari himself, explained in his tafsir for Surah Al-Fatiha verse 4 that Maliki or king is the more correct reading and not Maliki, which means owner. Oh boy, are you trying to say that you know more than the early Muslims, Ya Farid? You know more than the scholar, the Imam At-Tabari, Ya Farid? Hey, remember, without lies, Islam dies.
Yeah. Okay.
I rest my case.
Oh, Christian, wait a minute. Before you rest your case, let's see how you lied that Malik is not of use. Nothing here says Malik is rejected, but Malik is more authentic than Malik. There are some cases it said that Imam Al-Tabari said some of part of his book is not authentic, that they just jam-packed everything and all those stuff. This is a site called Islam Compass. It's a very good site for Islamic and all those questions, all the Qira'at and the Malik and Malik. You can check the explanations there.
Why do we not critically think that qira'at are just mistakes? Allah. So qira'at have different meanings sometimes.
Here's part 2 of this series. So if you missed part 1, go watch it. You can find the link in the description box. The Dawah boys like Farid, after all of these years, are now forced to come clean and admit that there are differences in the Qira'at and their meanings. But Farid's final and only desperate, bankrupt argument for the difference in meaning is they all complement one another.
Look at these meanings, how they're complementary and how they add to the meaning of the text.
Which is, of course, a big, fat lie. And here's why.
Yeah.
The early Salaf did not agree with modern-day Muslims like Farid. They did not think highly of other qira'at or readings, simply because they implied their own human logic and even rejected some of the readings that did not sound logical to them. But wait, are the other readings not revelation from Allah as well? Oh boy, yet the early Muslims rejected them anyway. Maybe our friend Farid here can do takfir on the early Muslims if he claims to have a spine in his body. So here is my proof. We can find this information mentioned by renowned Sunni scholars like the Tafsir Al-razi in his Tafsir. The reading Ajib 2 in Surah 37 verse 12 with the Dhamma attributes surprise to Allah, and ignorance is impossible for Allah. And that's why some of the early Muslims rejected this reading, Ajib 2 against Ajib Ta with a fatha.
And subhanallah, every time you find a difference in meaning, you'll find some amazing reason behind it.
And in the book Majmoo Al-fatawa, volume 12, page 492, Shaykh al-Islam himself, Ibn Taymiyyah, explains that early Muslims, i.e. the Salaf, used to make mistakes. Mistakes? Wow! Wait! Ibn Taymiyyah, who came 7 centuries later, claims that the 7th century and 8th century Salaf, who learned the recitation directly from the Prophet and the Tabi'een, made mistakes. Just wow! Remember, this is the Shaykh of Farid talking. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah continued saying,
You know, this is what Rob likes doing because he knows this will destroy him. The same verse, it's the same page. He's just talking about the prophet saying his Lord. So Rob is just but do you know why Rob will not say this? Because he knows always trying to say that the prophet saw his Lord. This page is not even talking about things related to rejecting Qira'at.
that some of these early Muslims used to even reject certain qira'at. And he mentions a tabi'i, a student of the Sahaba, Al-Qadi Sharih, rejected a canonical reading for Surah 37, Ayah 12 that says, Allah is shocked. And his reasoning for rejecting that different qira'ah is, Allah cannot be shocked, else we have to accept that Allah is ignorant like any human being. So, Ya Farid, should anyone listen to you or Ibn Taymiyyah and the Salaf who rejected Quranic readings that did not sound logical to them? So what do you mean that different readings or different meanings complement one another?
Look at these meanings, how they're complementary and how they add to the meaning of the text.
The early Salaf did not agree with you, my friend. So why are you deceiving your gullible Muslim audience? Have some decorum.
You'll find some amazing reason behind it.
Get some hikmah. You are lacking wisdom, ya Farid.
Well, the reason why they didn't reject him because he was from the Imams. Ibn Taymiyyah didn't call this Shari because he was from the Imams. That's why they didn't reject him. Rob forgot to read the footnotes for you, the blue one. If it wasn't because he was from the Imams, they would have rejected him. That's why. But doesn't mean the Bala Ajib too is rejected.
And on the next page, Ibn Taymiyyah himself mentions chapter 13, Falam Yayasi used to also be rejected by famous companions like Ibn Abbas, Habr al-Ummah, Turjuman al-Quran, and the cousin of the Prophet himself. Ibn Abbas used to read it as أَفَلَمْ يَتَبَيَّنِ instead. And in the authentic hadith, we can find the reason for that. According to Ibn Abbas, the scribe made a mistake, an error, because he was sleepy or drowsy. Yet we find that mistake now in the most popular reading, the 1924 Cairo edition, i.e. the Hafs Quran.
Ibn Abbas never said the one which was with after Hafs roots was rejected, but he just said he wrote that one. That's the one he preferred writing because the scribe he wrote it while he was asleep. When Ibn Taymiyyah said some Salaf, he didn't put Ibn Abbas. It was Rob that inserted it by himself. He didn't put Ibn Abbas at all.
And in another ayah, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ used to be rejected and read instead by the early Muslims as وَوَصَّى رَبُّكَ. And Ibn Taymiyyah also explains that some of the early Salaf, like Ibn Mas'ud, removed chapters 113 and 114, the last two chapters, from their personal masahif, which are also known as Al-Mu'awwadatain. Imagine two surahs, two entire chapters of the Quran completely removed by the Sahaba, yet can now be found again in today's Hafs Quran. And Ibn Taymiyyah continued saying, early Muslims like Ubay, the Sahaba, added two extra surahs, namely Surah Al-Hafd and Surah Al-Khala'.
Well, some of them used to reject وَأَخَذَ رَبُّكَ and used to say وَأَوْصَى رَبُّكَ. وَأَخَذَ رَبُّكَ means your Lord has decreed, while وَأَوْصَى رَبُّكَ means your Lord has enjoined. So, but it doesn't mean it's rejected. Not all of them reject it. Some of them just denied it. Not all of them. Well, forgot to mention that the the other one, the surah they said was Surah Al-Hajj and Surah Al-Khala, which is not part of the Quran. Those were the surahs that were omitted, and they said it was a mistake. And CK says khata, it was a mistake. And this means just Surah Al-Haqq and Surah Al-Khala was a mistake by writing it and omitting the Muawizatayn. The Muawizatayn, omitting them is a mistake.
Here is a list of the big Sahaba who included these two surahs in their personal masahif. What happened to these surahs? Allahu A'lam. Right, my Muslim friends? Allah knows.
I don't know where Rob got all those stupid things, all those stupid things he brought up. Now, the main question you guys asked me is the same haruf, not the same as the Qira'at. Yep, they are almost the same, but most of the seven haruf are gotten from the most of the seven Qira'at are gotten from the seven haruf. And 11, he explained it well. You can see he explained it on page 211. As you can see, it have translated for here. And Ibn Taymiyyah finished the note by saying there is no contradiction in it. So most of them are just in the letters and what varies in wordings and meanings. And you shouldn't remove it from being a word.
Tawatur and Quranic preservation are a big fat lie. Nothing but scam from the Dawagandists. I rest my case. And that's why we always say, without lies, Islam dies. Please stay away from Islam.
Yeah.
Rob Christian tried to debunk Paraphrase, but there was not enough time. He did a 2-hour video, so I can't debunk everything there. is what happens when they can't defend the preservation of their Bible and the versions of their Bible, so they attack the Quran. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to other people. And don't forget to check the links in the description below.